Hi, Mrs. Ramirez here. We are working on Module 1, Lesson 27 today. Remember, we're continuing to do percent, and remember always percent. Of course, our percent means out of 100, but a percent is a part to whole ratio, always. So, if I were to have like 55 to 100, percentages out of 100, it helps. Then we've got the part is 55, the whole is 100. And we remember that it's the part to whole ratio, 55% also written there, and 55 hundredths. These two forms are useful. However, the form of the fraction shows the part to whole ratio, and it can be really useful in situations like today. So we are looking, solve the following three problems. Write the word percent, whole, or part under each problem to show which piece you're solving for. Oh, okay. So that must be what these big lines are down here. Okay, so I'm going to label them as percent, part, and whole before I go any farther because I need to know what I'm looking at. So 60% of 300, this is the percent of 300. Okay, of a group of 300, this looks like the whole. And we're finding the part. Okay, oh yeah, we have this in Do Now quite often, 60% of 300. We've used it where we do 60% is 6/10 of a group of 300, so we multiply together. So that's a good way to do it. 300 times 6/10. Now I got rid of the 0 in the hundredths place because it would just be more multiplication. And remember, it's 6 sitting in the tenths place. So therefore, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 3, 6, 12, 18. Carry my 10, there's nowhere to place it, so it falls down. 1 digit behind the decimal, remember, 1 digit, okay, behind the decimal. So it looks like this might be 180. But let's make it work out of a ratio as well, the fraction. So let's do 60 over 100. That's what they're looking for, 60%. It's part to whole. And we're making it with another ratio that looks like a fraction, looks like 300. There is my whole. Oh, okay. Oh, so 100 times, using a giant 1, of 3 to get 300. What we do to the bottom, we do to the top. 60 times 3, that's 180. Oh, look, my numbers match. So the part is 180. Okay. Oh, yeah. It says, what are we looking for? We're looking for the part. Okay. So let's check out this one. 60% of something equals 300. Okay, so interesting. Are they doing some of the same numbers? Okay, so 60%. Of course, that's our percent. I'm not sure which one's whole and which one's part. Okay, I remember Mrs. Ramirez saying that if I multiply a number that's less than 1, multiply a number less than 1, I'm going to get a number smaller. So 60% is less than one whole. 60% times a number is going to be a smaller number. So this is the smaller number. This is the larger number. So does that mean this is the part and this is the whole? Oh, interesting. Okay. We've got this same organization over here. Percent, whole, part. Oh, okay. I'm just used to this bit more. We have this more often. So, okay, percent of whole is part. Okay, interesting. So now I'm going to mark it up as a ratio. I've got my 60 out of 100. There's my part. There's my whole. Equals part, whole. We labeled 300 as part. Okay, so 60 times something to get 300. Well, if I cut off the zeros, 6 times 5 is 30. So 60 groups of 5 is 300. Okay, that works. So 100 times 5 is 500. It's larger. Okay, so it looks like 60% of 500 equals 300. Less than 1 group of a big number equals a small number. Okay, so I'm looking for the whole. Oh, that makes sense because it's opposite of what I was looking for. Okay, interesting. Different things going on here. So, there's some similarities, but some differences here. So let's check out this last one. 60 out of 300. Out of a group of 300. That makes me think this is, oh, here's my percent sign, so here's where my percent goes. 60 out of 300, this looks like the part and the whole. Okay, so what are we looking for? The percent. Okay. So, I don't know the percent. I do know the part is 60. I know the whole is 300. There's my part, there's my whole. This is a part, this is a whole. Ooh, percentages out of 100. Always, always, always. And we're looking for a percent. So here's 100. Now I have my 3 numbers that I can now work with. So 300. Ooh, this time I'm going to divide. Okay, that's interesting. 300 divided by 3 to get 100. So 60 divided by 3 equals 60 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and it's 60, so it's 20. 20 times 3 equals 60. That makes sense. Okay, so is that 20%? 20%. Okay. Ooh, I remember Top Dog Gets the House. Let's try out Top Dog Gets the House. 60 divided by 300 and add a decimal point and a couple zeros. Decimal schmeshmal, move it up. So 300. How many groups of 306? None. How many groups of 360? None. I'll put a 0 this time. How many groups of 300 and 600? Oh, 2. I can think of them as whole numbers because I moved the decimal up and the multiplication works whether it's a decimal or not. 2 times 300 is 600. Oh, okay. And the 0 here, 20 hundredths. Percentages out of 100, so this all works. Cool. Okay, so I had to find 3 different things. That's why I had to do it 3 different ways. Okay, so now they say, how did your solving method differ with each problem? So, let's see. I know there's a constant here. The constant is percentages out of 100. So always, always, I had something I knew because I'm looking for percent. So I always knew wherever the percentage was, it was out of 100. Okay, so, but that's like not different, but that's something that I use to my advantage for sure. So, I used my using ratios, fractions, but something we needed to work on better the last lesson was figuring out 10%. So let's use one other method and then we'll get to how these differ. As we said, this one was more one we come up with. We see this in Do Now, we see it often. So let's go to our number line and let's go back to this one. 60% of 300. There's my whole. So our double number line works really well. 0%, 0. 100%, they told us the whole. So I know that. And what we were trying to figure out was 60%. So 20, 40, 60, 80. We did this last on the last unit as well. Move my paper. So I figured out 20%, 60% is what we figured out, and it was 180. So if I were to figure out, I want to know an easy way to get 10% of 300. Some of you are already going, yeah, I know that, Mrs. Ramirez, which is yay, good for you. I'm going to reiterate again. 300 is my 100%. So what if I divide it by 10? Because there's 10 groups of 10% in 100. And if I know 100% and like 10%, if I know 10%, I can find lots of things. So let's divide 300 by 10 because 300 is 100%. If I divide it by 10, that will give me my 10%. So how many groups of 10 and 3? None. How many groups of 10 and 30? 3. 3 times 10 is 30. Subtract 0. Bring down nothing. My shelf is not full. Remember, we have to have something above everything on the shelf. So if I broke my 100%, which was 300, into 10 groups, I think my 10% is going to be 30. Which, if I think about it, remember dividing by 10 moves the decimal to the left 1 when I divide by 10. So dividing by 10 finds 10% really, really easily. 30 is 10% in this situation. So that's a really good, helpful thing that if I can find 10% by dividing what I know is 100% by 10, I will get 30. And if I double 10% to 20%, I can double 30 to 60. I know it's crunchy right there, but 20%, and this one was going to be 40%. So double that plus 60 gives me 120, which makes it, no, this one's a different number, but 30, 60, 6 plus 60 is 120, plus another 60 is 180. Okay, that gets back to how were these different? This is more of, I hate saying the word normal, but this is more more used to, more often is what we use. This one, we often, this one, I had to change my thinking, but the percent, whole, and part stayed the same. So I just had to trade up, change where the numbers go in the ratio. But what I always remembered here was my part over whole worked for my percent, but also the other section as well. Now, my percent here, this one was different because I had to divide. I had to divide to get the percent. Okay, so use these as a model as we flip the page. So go ahead and flip the page. To exercise, I'm going to flip my notes as well. And we're looking through. We want to use a model. And we're also, double number line works, has been working really well. Priya is doing her back to school shopping. Calculate all the missing values in the table below. Round to the nearest penny. Okay, so we may have to do some rounding pretty soon. Calculate the total amount Priya will spend on her outfit. Okay, so let's first figure out what's the percent, where's the whole, where's the whole and the part. Okay, there's my percent. They were saying earlier that it would help to find it. Original price. Oh yeah, the original price is the whole. The amount of discount is the part. Let's add another row here for price paid. Price paid. Remember, we don't pay the discount is taken off. So we're going to take the original minus the discount and have our price paid. Because down here it says, what's the total cost of Priya's outfit? We're going to have to figure this out here very soon anyway. So remember figuring out what we always know, percentages out of 100. We can make that into a fraction. Let's look, let me help you with the shoes portion. So I'm going to work on this percent right here, and I'm going to do it right underneath. 15% discount. Okay, 15 over 100, 15 out of 100. There's my part. There's my whole. And it is, they didn't give us the whole, but they gave us the part. So they gave us 9. Oh, 15 times something doesn't work for 9. 9 doesn't multiply to get 15. I remember last week, Mrs. Ramirez was saying, sometimes I have to divide. I can reduce 15 hundredths. So what if I reduce 15, I could divide 15 hundredths divided by 5. Because then I know that would be 15 divided by 5 is 3. 100 divided by 5, we've done that a few times, gives me 20. Ooh, 3 times something equals 9. Ah, that helps me. And I know we're going down here, but we'll have room to add. So now my percent is 3/20 because I reduced it. But it's still my part, it's still my whole, and now I can utilize that for this 9 times the giant one of 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 20 times 3, well, 2 times 3 is 6. Add my 0 back in. 9/60ths. 9/60ths. Oh, part whole. So $9 was the discount. Does that mean the original price of the shoes were 60? If it's the discount, okay. Oh, the whole price, the original price was 60. I take away 9, so the price I'm going to end up paying is $51 there. Okay, sometimes on my percent ratio, I need to reduce it in order to work back up. That's why I showed you the 10%, finding the 10% also, because it's just useful to find. Sometimes you have to go smaller to go larger. Of course, we're going to go over this and talk about it in class. Happy learning!